As the first generation born entirely in the 21st century, Generation Alpha is immersed in technology and the internet from the moment they are born. Most of these kids already own tablets by age 4, which is why they're nicknamed the iPad kids. And by age 7, a Gen Alpha child will have spent an entire year glued to the screen. Now, Gen Alpha are kids born between 2010 and 2025, which means that most of their parents are millennials. And millennial parents, having grown up with technology themselves, want their kids to grow up with the latest digital tools and resources. However, a seemingly well-meaning move by Gen Alpha's parents has destroyed the world's youngest generation, possibly forever. Like everything else, it all started harmlessly. A couple of minutes on the tablet with a cartoon to calm the baby or get some work done turned into hours of screen time a day. Then the COVID-19 pandemic came along and everyone was stuck at home for months. With limited social interaction, kids turned to their screens, spending up to 9 hours on digital devices a day. But even as the COVID-19 restrictions were lifted and schools reopened, the time spent in front of the screen never went back down. The worst part is what these Gen Alpha kids are consuming in the hours and hours they spend online, aka brain rot. Brain rot is the overconsumption of shallow, repetitive, and overly stimulating content. These videos feature ultra-bright, saturated colors, with camera angles that change every 1 to 6 seconds to keep kids hooked every single moment. Unfortunately, brain rot has been linked to a myriad of cognitive issues, including lower attention span, mental exhaustion, and a reduced ability to engage in deeper, more meaningful tasks. And when kids in their early formative years are exposed to these videos, it can affect the development of language, social skills, and creativity. Unfortunately, babies as young as 18 months old frequently watch Cocomelon, one of the best examples of this type of content, among other similar shows, spending as much as 20 minutes at a time on average, basically zombified. Just to give you an idea of how the situation is, here's what happens when you take the show away from them.
Over! Uh-oh!
These reactions have led to increasing worry among parents and experts that the show triggers behavioral issues. And there are tons and tons of other shows like this that Gen Alpha can endlessly scroll through. The most shocking bit is this kind of stimulation is comparable to what you get from using substances. But it's not just about the internet addiction. Gen Alpha kids are doing much worse in school. The logic is pretty simple. Screen addiction means that these kids find it hard to live without their devices. So, what happens when they go to school? They don't get the kind of constant hyperstimulation the screen provides, and so they struggle to pay attention. And teachers from all over are sharing their concerns about the educational development of Gen Alpha. In fact, most Gen Alpha kids are reading and writing at grade levels behind. For example, one teacher who goes by the username QBSki on TikTok shared how his 7th grade students were performing at a 4th grade level.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please.
In addition to poor learning skills, these kids also have poor behavior, often throwing tantrums in the classroom, with teachers watching helplessly, unable to enforce discipline. Unfortunately, AI has only worsened the situation. Now, students have tools like ChatGPT to help them cheat their way through the education system. So, work ethic, critical thinking, and problem solving have basically gone out the window. Soon, AI will be a fundamental part of Gen Alpha's lives, affecting not just their education but careers, social interactions, and even personal experiences. And considering that these kids take what they see on the internet as truth, and have no critical thinking skills to discern fact from fiction, or even question it, This is truly scary. Unfortunately, while parents and teachers worry about Gen Alpha, companies are taking advantage of the generation's shortcomings to cash in. With ads that have become more personalized, attention-grabbing, and frankly sneaky, most Gen Alpha kids can't discern them from organic content. So what happens? Kids are being influenced to buy products that aren't meant for children, like makeup and skincare, for example. Kids as young as 10 are shopping for expensive beauty products in Sephora that they shouldn't be using in the first place. Think about all the chemicals and possibly harmful ingredients they are being exposed to, all because they saw an influencer rave about them on the internet. And we've not even touched the mental impact these extreme beauty standards have on these kids. This makes Gen Alpha possibly the most materialistic generation ever, on top of being the dumbest and most internet dependent. Even basic tasks like eating or brushing have become impossible to do without the constant stimulation from screens. The result? We have kids who severely lack the necessary life skills, are heavily influenced by horrible trends and behaviors they see online, and who cannot handle the slightest inconvenience without going off. While this video focuses heavily on the challenges and concerns surrounding Generation Alpha, the goal isn't to simply criticize. It's important to acknowledge that it's not all negative. Technology also brings opportunities for creativity, connection, and learning. However, by spotlighting the potential harms and long-term consequences, the aim is to encourage reflection on things we might overlook in our day-to-day lives. With awareness, we can still shape a healthier digital future for this generation. So, is this next generation of adults doomed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, like the video and turn on notifications for more.